Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Tzaddik Amud Aleph, 98a. So we just Tzaddik Amud Aleph, yes. Okay, 98a. So Tzaddik Amud Aleph says, we were just speaking about that. What happens right now if all of a sudden you come and you, let's say, for example, you lent money, and all of a sudden, because of the value of the money value changed, but now all of a sudden now you could buy much more fruits. So if it was that it went down in value, so you're right, you're going to pay less because beforehand, right? All of a sudden now, right? You're going to have to pay less because listen, according to the new coins, we're going to be menakim min hapiraon be'etem. But if it's going to be that the entire world, the fruits went down in value, so therefore, no, we give you, and if you can buy more, no problem. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, this is where we're starting now. Veha kashevach, right? Linyan naska. He says the new matbea is already worth more in money, and therefore it's ribit. Tachshov, I'm going to lend you money, and I give you the money, and all of a sudden they come and they say, you know what? From now on, we're going to use pure silver. Right? The majority of the coins nowadays is not pure silver. No? Right? No, it's not 100% pure silver, no. So if it's going to become now pure silver, so now all of a sudden you have a rebate. Because I gave you, let's say I gave you in dollar bills. Dollar bills is paper, it's worth nothing. And all of a sudden you come and you give me in silver. Technically, do you know that once upon a time, people would come, I think they made it illegal, but they would come, they would take the pennies and they would take all these things, they would melt it, and then they would make more money by selling it, by the melted metal.
The bonds, no.
Right? They would, by the melted metal, the actual value of the penny. Right? I don't remember if they did that. I think it was with pennies they did it. If I remember, I don't remember. I remember they were doing something that, I don't know if they were doing with what type of coins, because it was worth more. So it's rebit. So says Gemara, Ella, ki had Rav Papa v'Rav Huna bered Rav Yoshua avdi uvda. When Rav Papa and Rav Huna bered Yoshua were doing this, bezuze de agardamis taya. They were doing it with money of agardamis, that he was a Socher Ishmaeli, that he had old coins and new coins, and therefore you could actually check the coins. Ad asara betamanya, which means that you could actually check 10 to 8, which means if you had 8 of the Slayim Chadashim was worth 10 of the old ones. Okay? Meaning, in the olden days, it was many times on value. So I had a coin, this coin has a value of $5. I have another coin, nowadays everything's universal. So a quarter is a quarter. Right? $1 coin is a dollar coin. Yeah? I don't know. It has a, so he says, if you take the new one and the old one, it was a difference from 10 to 8. So one was worth $10 and one was worth $8, right? Because of the difference in the coin. So Amar Rabbi comes and he says, Hazorek matbea shel chavero liyam hagadol patur. Right? Imagine right now, you come and you're going to throw a matbea of your friend in the Yam Hagadol. Right? Even if you can't take it yourself, and obviously, you have to say, how are you? You're still going to be patur. My time on what's the reasoning? Amar hamanach kamach. He says the matbea is right in front of you. You buy it, chakli, if you want, take it. Which means, since his matbea is inside of the yam, he could take it out. So it's not considered mamash lost. So therefore, he's not going to be chayav l'shalem mazik. And even though he has to come and he has to take it out or whatever it is, right? It's only a grama. Because at the end of the day, go swimming. Sounds good, no? Imagine, I'm going to take your coin, throw it inside the sea over here. I'm going to tell you, go fetch it. Yeah? Okay. Well, that's what he says, because it's a grama, because you could still take it out. So says the Gemara, Hanemile bitzlulim. That's only if the water is so clear that you can actually even see where it is. But if it's water that you can't see it, no. Meaning that, for example, right? I remember here, somebody's glasses once, I think it was my son's glasses, fell in the bayside, right? They fell in the water. What? Kaddish. In the bay, here. Yeah. Kaddish. That's it. Yeah. Not only שהם ייכנס, אפילו אם אתה רוצה להיכנס. אתה לא יכול לראות. Yeah, and it was in a... Depends where you are.
Fish.
So the hanemile, not only does it have to be actually tselul, which means maim tselulim, which is see-through water, te adye aduye, right? That he went and he did it, that you can't pick it up, which means that it was in basically it was in his hands, and then he hid it out of his hands, right? Aval shakle biyadeh, but if he actually picked it up, gazle, he already stole it. and then Hashava Ba'amevet, then he has to give it back, which means like this. If I have a coin, pretend this is a coin. Yeah, this is the coin. And now you come and you knock it. So that was the case. But if it's going to be that it wasn't the coin, right? And then what happened is that it basically he picked it up. The second he steals it. Once he steals it, he has to give it back. So the case was that he went and he knocked it. And once he knocked it out of his hand, that was the case. But if he actually picked it up, Kaddish. Okay, he has to give it back. So Mati Rava comes and he has the following question. You cannot do michalelin perot maaser sheni on money that you don't have in your reshut. Keitza, what's the case? If you had money in a far off place, in Kastra or Behar HaMelech, so he says it's sakana to get there. Or shenafal mikisol yom hagadol, or your keys fell in the yom hagadol. You don't know how to do michalel there. So what are you talking about then? It means it comes out that it's on your reshut. So says the Gemara, Rabba says, Shanel, Yan Maaser, Dabina Metsu Biyadecha, Rachman Amar, V'sarta Kesav Biyadecha V'leka, meaning English. Even though you have your money in Yam HaGadol, it's not enough. You need V'sarta Kesav Biyadecha, has to be Biyad, V'yadayim Shilcha. So if it's not going to be in your hands, you cannot be Mechalel Maaser Sheni. So this is like a different lacha. Now Amar Rabba, and Rabba says, Hashaf Matbe'a Shel Chaviro. If you come and you started scraping the Matbe'a of your friend, and therefore you made it less of a tzura, you're going to be patur. My time was reasoning that you didn't do anything. Meaning, at the end of the day, right, it's not considered a maaser nezek because it's still there. But when is this? That you hit it with a patish and then you made it like more halak. So you flattened it. But if you came and you took it and you were mochek the tzura, then meaning, if I took the coin and I just made it more flat, so then I didn't do a real nezek because it's still a coin. But if I remove the tzura on the coin, so then that's considered a big nezek. So Mativ Rava comes and asks the following question. If you remember, we said that if you're going to come and you're going to hit and you're going to blind your slave or you're going to make your slave deaf, so therefore he goes out free. But if you hit the wall and it was right beside his eye and then he became blind, or hit the wall and right beside his ear and he became deaf, he doesn't go out for free. So it comes out, right, that basically there's a difference between lashchit legamre or not. So if so, we should say the same thing with nizikin. That means even if, as long as you weren't mechaser from the matbea klum, even if you were going to be pichet surato, at the end of the day, this is a nezek you should be chayav l'shalem or not. So Rabba letamed amar Rabba chersho le'aviv ne'erag. According to Shitat Rabba, if a person comes and he makes his father a cheresh, he's chayav mita. Because when it says umakeh aviv imo mot yumat, right, he says she'iev shal charisha v'lo chabura. It doesn't exist to make a person deaf if there's no chabura in the guy's ear, right? He says tetibcha dedam nafla lebeyane. For sure there was a tipat dam that fell inside of his ozen, and therefore that's why the guy became deaf. So according to that, that's what happened. The Amar Rabba says, "Atzorem ozen parato shel chavero." If somebody comes and he's pogem the ear of the para of his chaver, of his friend, the para is going to be patur. My tamot's reasoning. Para kedekamiga. You didn't do anything to para. You think you need a nice cow? What do you care now that the cow is missing part of his ear? It still works. He didn't do anything. The kulu shvarim lav legabe mizbeach. He says, no, not all the shvarim are going to be miuad for the mizbeach, which means that even if it became pasul for a krava, at the end of the day, it's not considered nezek. Why? It's like a grama. So Mati Rava comes and he asks, if you're going to do melacha with mechatat, beparat chatat with parat chatat, patur b'dinei adam chayav dinei shamayim. You're going to be patur b'dinei adam and chayav dinei shamayim. Why? It's melachahu. To lo minkar hezeka. It's not going to be nikar the hezek. Aval tzorem, the minkar hezek. But when you cut and you cut the ear, which it is nikar the hezek, achana min chayav b'dinei adam. You should be chayav b'dinei adam. So Amri says the Gemara, hu adin dafilu tzorem. Even if you're going to come and cut the ear of the friend, you're going to be patur. Akbashvalan comes to teach you dafilu melacha de lo minkar hezeka chayav b'dinei shamayim. Even if it's going to be a melacha of mechatat. Remember, mechatat is the waters of the paraduma that you sprinkle on the human being to be mitaher mitumat met, right? Mitumat. So he says, if you do melacha with the mechatat, gamarnu zeu. You're not allowed to use the mechatat anymore. So therefore, here it says we're talking about that you were mazik with the melacha, which is not nikar b'mayim, and therefore you're going to be chayav dinei shamayim, not dinei adam. So if it's going to be nikar, so then that's it. So says the Gemara, the Amar Rabba, and Rabba comes and he says, Hasorev shtaro shel chavero. if you're going to burn the shtar of your friend, you're going to be patur. He could tell him, imagine, I've got a debt document. You owe me $10,000. I have the document. He comes and he burns it. He says, he's patur. Why? It was only a grama. He says it's a grama. Why? The debt document is not money. The debt document brings money. So ever since the debt document brings money, it's a grama. Who garam li hefsed. זה לא שהוא עשה לי הפסד, הוא גרם לי, גרמה, you're פטור בנזקים. Yeah, so מתקיף Rabbi Chama comes and asks, what was the case? Right? Sadichet amubet, 98b. Idi kasade diadem I have a bishtara. If there's witnesses that they know what's in the shtar, lichtov l'shtar, just write a new shtar. V'idile kasade, and if you doesn't have any witnesses, how do we know that it's there? How do we know that it was there? It doesn't make sense. How do we know that it's there? So Amar Rabba says, he says we could explain the Rabba that we're talking about. The Balashtar is ma'amin, right, to the soref and everything. He believes everything that he said, and that's why we said that he's going to believe it. And then obviously we're going to come and you know there's two dots. There's two dots in a few lines. So he says, so Amar Rav Chanina, Amar Rav Dimi Bar Chanina says Rav Dimi Bar Chanina. Tzadichet Amuved, 98b. We're going until the Nekudo time. So he says, right, Had Rabba is a machlok Rabbi Shimon Rabbanani. That which we just said, Rava, that if you're going to soref, shtar chavero shel chavero, you're going to burn the shtar chov, a debt document of your, you're going to be patur, is machlok Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. According to Rabbi Shimon, that he says, davar gorem lemamon kemamon dami, that if something causes you money, it's money, you're going to be chayav. But according to Rabbanan, that they say, davar gorem lemamon is lav kemamon dami, you're not going to be chayav. So matkif la Ravuna v'Rabbi Yeshua, asked Ravuna v'Yeshua, Eimar d'Shemale Rabbi Shimon, maybe we're going to say this of Rabbi Shimon, davar gorem lemamon kemamon dami, but the Vashi Karo Mamon, something which is Mamash Mamon, which in itself is Mamon. Kedraba like Rabba. Rabba says, Gazal Chametz, if you stole Chametz before Pesach, and somebody else comes and he burns it, Bamued, right, he's going to be Patur. Shakol Metzuim Levar, because everybody's obligated to do it. Meaning, Imata ba Erev Pesach, Vata Suref et Chametz Shali, right, you come you burn my Chametz, obviously you're going to be Patur. Everyone has to burn the Chametz, right? La'achar Pesach, but if it's going to be after the Pesach, it's a machlok Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. According to Rabbi Shimon, that he says, you're going to be chayav, right? Why? Because the chametz is something which is gorem lemamon. But according to Rabbanan, right, that means even though at the end of the day it's not worth anything, it's still something which is gufo mamon. But according to the rabbis, they say the varagor is not money, you're going to be patur. Why? But something which is not going to be mamon miyaminan. So Aramima comes and he says, man de dain dina de garmeh. If you're going to judge Dina de Garmeh, Magbi ben de Shtar, you could collect the money of the Shtar. But if you don't do Dina de Garmeh, so then you're not going to be collecting the money of the Shtar. You know the difference? Dina de Garmeh is more than Grama. Grama is an indirect cause. Dina de Garmeh is it's still a cause, but it's much more direct. There's a whole thing. What's the difference between Dina de Garmeh and not de Garmeh? You know, all these things. So Hava Uvda v'Kafya Rafram leRavashi v'Agbebe kikishura letzalma. So there was actually a story, and Rafram actually forced Ravashi that he burnt the shtar chov, right, of another person when he was very young. He actually went and he was able to actually collect the money, right, just like a person that's coming and putting a tzura or whatever it is inside of the document, inside of like of one of these beams. Okay, we'll continue from the two dots tomorrow. Boker or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf 98b. We are on the two dots, which are 9 lines down. Right? We're talking about now chametz. If somebody stole chametz and then avar alav a Pesach, right? So Melo, you can just tell him, here's your chametz. Why? Because remember, chametz you're not allowed to benefit on Pesach. So if somebody stole the chametz and now it passes Pesach, now a subana, you're not allowed to benefit from it anymore. Right? So what do? This is yours. And you just give it back. Says the Gemara, Mantana Omrin, right? Isuriana Hareshel Chalefanecha. Who's the Tana that says by, right? Isurim Hareshel Chalefanecha. So Amar of Chasta says of Chasta, Rabbi Yaakov he. So Yaakov. The Tanya, as we learned in a Braita, Shor Shemit Ad Shelo Nigmar Dino, an animal that comes and kills a human being. Okay? And it still was not the Gmar Din. Remember, the Gmar Din means that they had the verdict. Right? So he says, Mecharo, if he sells it, Machur, it's going to be sold. Hekdisho, if he makes it Ekdesh, consecrated, Mugdash. Shechato, if he slaughters it, Besaro Mutar, you're allowed to eat it, you're allowed to benefit from it. והחזירו שומר לבעליו מוחזר, and if he gave it back, it's going to be given back. מי שנגמר דינו, but once there's a גמר דין, there's a verdict on the animal that they have to kill the animal. Mecharo, if he sells it, and umachur, it's not going to be sold. Higdisho, if he made it higdash, and mukdash, it's not going to be mukdash, it's not going to be consecrated. Shechato, if he slaughters it, besaro asur, you're not allowed to benefit from the meat. Hechziro shomer libalav, if he gave it back to its owners, and muksar, it's not considered returned. Rabbi Yaakov comes and he says, even after the verdict, if he comes and he gives it back to the owners, it's considered that he gave it back. Yeah? Okay. My love, Bava Kamma Daf. He says that's not the machlok between them. The Rabbi Yaakov Savar, the Rabbi Yaakov holds, Omrim, that we do say by Yisurei Hana'ah, and the rabbis hold, one more time, everyone knows what is Yisurei Hana'ah? Something which you're not allowed to benefit from it. So an animal that kills and is supposed to be killed, you're not allowed to benefit from it. That's called Yisurei Hana'ah. Chametz shavar alav Pesach, asur bana'ah. You're not allowed to benefit from chametz after Pesach, right? That means basically, if you have chametz and the sale was not properly done, asur bana'ah, you're not allowed to benefit from it. So these are called isurei hana'ah, prohibitions of benefiting, right? So the question is, these isurei hana'ah, the question is, can you say hareh shelcha lefanecha?
No.
Yeah, fine. So it says the Gemara, okay. Elmaleh Rabbi comes and he says, no, that's not the machloka between them. Because according to everybody, we're going to say Isurei Hana'ah hareh shelcha lefanecha. Dimken, but if so, niflegu bechametz b'Pesach. Right? Why don't we actually just say that that's a machloket by chametz b'Pesach? And since we don't say that it's also a machloket by chametz b'Pesach, it's not the same thing. Elamar Rabba, but rather Rabba says, Hacha begomrin dino shel shor shelo b'fana kamma daf. There's a machloket. Can you have a gemar din not in front of the shor or not? Meaning like this: the shor comes and kills. We're going to come and take it to court, and then we're going to testify with the two witnesses, and then we want to kill it. Okay? What happens if the shor is not here?
What?
The ox is not here. Yeah? So therefore there's a machloket. Rabbanan Savri, the rabbis hold, En gomrin dino shel shor shelo b'fanav. You cannot make a gemar din, a verdict on the ox, unless the ox is here. The ox has to be present. You know why he has to be present?
No, sure.
Yeah? Because if he wants to object, he has to say it. He has to say it. Yeah? The Elmaleh, because he could say, I aitite nihale hava marikna le leagma. Okay, what does that mean? If you would have brought the shor, I would have been mavriach oto la'agam, and therefore they wouldn't have been able to do anything. But now you gave it in the hands of somebody that I could not stand against it, which means you went and you brought the shor to the bedin. So because of that, you caused that now we have to kill the shor.
Wow. You have to bring the shor.
According to this shita, you need the shor to be there in order to kill the shor. So therefore, if you came and you brought the shor to Bedin, you caused me to have the shor killed. Because I could have just went and thrown it in the swamp, and then that's it. Okay?
בצדיק זין, לא?
צדיק ח' עמוד ב'.
בצדיק, הרב בצדיק ח'.
עשינו אתמול. אתמול אחרי שחרית עשינו צדיק ח' כבודו, אבל רק עשינו עמוד א', אז עכשיו אנחנו גומרים עמוד ב'. יש בעיה באינטרנט, I don't know what's going on with the internet.
אז עכשיו בצדיק ח' עמוד ב' אנחנו? צדיק
ח' עמוד ב'. אנחנו התחלנו עם נקודותיים היום, שזה כאילו דף חדש, 9 שורות למטה, כן, מתי שזה נהיה גדול, כן, ואז עכשיו אנחנו באמצע, אוקיי? Fine. So I don't know what's going on with the internet. There's a big problem with the internet. It's not recording properly. I don't know what's going on.
Welcome to the hands.
But let's continue. So the Gemara says, Yaakov Savar, Rabbi Yaakov holds, Gomrin Dino shel shor shelo b'fanav. We are going to make a Gemar Din of the shore not in front of him. The Amaleh, but we're going to say, my Abdile. Right? What did I do to the shore? Sof al Gamir el Dine. Anyway, they would have done the Gemar Din even if it wasn't in front of him. Shelo b'fanav. So Ashkeche Rav Chasta le Rabbi Bar Shmuel. So they found Rav Chasta to Rabbi Bar Shmuel. V'amaleh, and he says, Tanit midi b'Yisurei hana'ah. Did we actually teach the halacha of Yisurei hana'ah? Amaleh, he says, yes. Tanina, we actually learned it. When it says Veshivet Gezela, you have to give back that which you stole. What does Asher Gazal mean? So he says, Yachzir ke'en shegazal. You have to give back that which is like what you stole. Mikan amru, and for there we say, Gazal matbea v'nifsal, perot v'irkivu, yain v'chmitz, trumot v'nitmet, chametz v'alav v'pesach, bema v'nevda ba'avera, v'shor shelo nigmar dino, melo areh shelcha lefanecha. From here, from the pasuk Veshivet Gezela Asher Gazal, you have to give back that which you stole, like the way that it stole. What does that mean? From here we learn that if you stole a coin and then it became pasul, you can't use the coins anymore. You stole the dollar bill and now they say, no, it's not a currency anymore. Or fruit became rotten. Wine became chometz, became vinegar. Trumot became tameh. Chametz, and it passed Pesach. An animal, and it was done an avirah with it. A shor, and even if it was not going to be nigmar dino, you could just say, take it back. Right? So who's the one that says that shelo nigmar dino im mishenigmar dino lo? So he says it's Rabbanan. We learned chametz v'avar alav pesach omer lo areh shelcha lefanecha. So therefore, you see from here that chametz she'avar alav pesach, chametz that it passed Pesach, you could just say this is yours. So imagine somebody steals from you a piece of bread from before Pesach. It passes Pesach. The next week he comes and says, here's your bread. Avdu chamim. Okay? Thank you. So Amaleh, he says, he says, if you're going to find this b'nei yeshiva, don't tell them anything. Don't tell them this braita. Perot v'irkivu omer lo areh shelcha lefanecha v'atram. We learned perot v'irkivu, you have to pay keshat gezela, just like the Tani stole. Amar Papa, you're right. We're talking about everything that became nirkav, or only a few of them. If it was everything, right? So therefore, he comes and he says, if it's going to be that you could actually give them back, it's only if a few of them went bad. But if all the fruits went bad, you can't give it back. Which makes sense. Okay? Mishnah. Mishnah on Tzadichet Amud Bet. Okay? Says the Mishnah. Natan leumanin letaken vekilkilu. Imagine right now you take something to the tailor and they destroy it. It's not only the tailor, it's any uman. You take it to a craftsman and you took whatever it was and they destroyed it. It happens many times, right? Chayavim l'shalem. They're obligated to pay. Yeah, they're obligated to pay. Not lav davka chayat, amarti, kulam. Yeah, you took your car to a mechanic and he destroyed your car, he has to pay for it, right? It's obvious. Yeah, common sense. Yeah.
Mechanic?
Anything. Lav davka mechanic. You took your utensil to a professional and they destroyed it, they have to pay. Yeah, it's pashut. It's alibet. Fine. Natan lecharash, shedat tovei migdal. If you gave now to a nagar, a carpenter, a shedat tovei, right? So you went and you gave him a utensil in order, for example, shedat tovei migdal, right? Letaken, v'kilkel chayav l'shalem. Habanai, right? What happens if you have a builder? Shekibel elav listor et hakol tov v'shiber et havanim, or shezik chayav l'shalem. You gave to a constructor. You come and tell him, listen, take down this wall, but now you're going to have to put it down over. They broke. So what happens? They have to pay. Oh, all these things are obvious, right? But if he was coming and taking it on this wall and then it fell somewhere else, he's going to be patur. But if it fell because of what you did, that you went and you hit and all that, you're going to be chayav. Okay? Says the Gemara. Tzadichet amud bet towards the bottom. Gemara. Amar Avasi, says Avasi, lo shanu ela she natan lecheresh shedat tovei migdal lin'ot tzvayin masmer. We're talking about that you came and you gave to the cheresh shedat tovei migdal to put in a nail and that's by Masechet, and then you put in the nail and it broke it. But if you gave it to him to make a Shedat Migdal, and he made a Shevat Migdal, and then afterwards it broke, it's going to be Patur. My time, what's reasoning? Uman koneh b'shevach kli. There's a general rule that the Uman, he acquires with Shevach Kli. What does it mean, Shevach Kli? Shevach Kli means that when it appreciates in value, now it's his. So if he took a piece of wood and he started making a bookcase, so now it's his bookcase because he just acquired it when he came and he appreciated it. So if it broke, he's going to be patur. So ask the Gemara Tnan, we learned on the Mishnah. What are you talking about? There it says that you're obligated to pay. Are we not talking about that you gave him wood and then he made a bookcase and you're still obligated to pay if he broke the bookcase? Says the Gemara, no, you gave him already the bookcase, or you gave him a closet, or like one of these, like furnitures. You gave it to him and then he broke it. Then that's when he's going to be chayav. So says the Gemara, well, that which we learned in the Seifa, Shedatova Migdal Miklal, the Reisha Be'etzim. So it's mashma that the Reisha was talking about pieces of wood. Amri, they said, Parushek and Farashle, they're coming to explain it. Kate said, what's the case? He says, Natan Umanina Takem Vikulu Chayvin Shalem. He says, for example, he gave a Charash, right? Shedatova Migdal. The Charash is going to be the Nagar. Okay? And then he actually was Mekalkelet, he destroyed it. So therefore, obviously, he's going to be paying for the damages that he just caused you. And it's also logical. If you're going to tell me at the beginning we're talking about etzim, so now that we're telling me that if you gave him wood, you're going to be obligated to pay, and we didn't say obviously you should pay. So says if it was because of that we wouldn't have said it, because Tana Seifa Legaluyad Reisha. The Seifa is teaching you, the latter part of the Mishnah is teaching you in the former part of the Mishnah. Shelo Tomar, that don't say Reisha Shedat Migdal Veletzim Lo. Don't tell me that if you gave him wood, he wouldn't have been chayav. So Tana Seifa Shedat Migdal, so Mikal, the Reisha is talking about etzim, and still you're going to be chayav l'shalem. That means even if you gave him etzim, and then he came and he made it into a bookcase, and you're still going to be chayav. So he says, so why do we say there's a proof to another braita? It says, if you gave wool to somebody to dye the wool, and then he burnt it. He burnt the wool. They put it in the pot, they put all the dyes, and he burnt the wool. He has to pay for the wool. The Metzimur only has to pay for the wool, but the appreciation, he doesn't have to pay, right? Lava, we're not talking about that he came and he burnt it after it fell inside, that it actually went up in value. Which means that Uman acquires with a Shevach Kli. I'll give you an example. A piece of paper, is it worth much? No. A piece of paper, is it worth much? No. If you have a sofer that he writes a get, now is it worth?
Yes.
Now it's worth something. It's worth a lot of money now. Yeah, it's very expensive. You know what it is to write a get? It's very difficult. So therefore, there's a concept which is called Uman Koneh B'Shevach Kli, which means the craftsman, he acquires it when it appreciates the value. Beforehand, he had a piece of paper that you bought in the dollar store or whatever it is. Now you come and you write an entire get. Listen, this is valuable. You understand? So he acquires it. So therefore, there are some shitot that say that since he acquires it, he has to actually give it back to the husband, that he has to acquire it back from him. That he does a kinyan, he comes, he acquires it. Why? Because now it becomes if it belongs to the sofer, it has to belong to the husband when he gives the get to the wife. You understand? So that's the entire concept behind the Bezat Hashem. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do the Bikim Balacha now.